everlasting life from the Spirit. So don't get tired of doing what is good. Let me repeat that. Don't get tired of doing what is good. I'm going to repeat that again. Don't get tired of doing what is good. Don't get discouraged. Maybe I have to repeat that. Don't get discouraged. And most importantly, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged and give up. For we will reap a harvest of blessing at the appropriate time. Whenever we have the opportunity, we should do good to everyone, especially to our Christian brothers and sisters. Never give up. Now, this morning, to help make this principle here that the Lord has outlined in the Scriptures, I like to take our minds to a familiar object lesson that we can identify with, and that is planting a garden. Now, back home, I have a little garden behind my house, and it kind of goes like this. Well, at the beginning of the year, I go out there and pull all the weeds out. It's hard work. Then I get my little tiller out, and I begin to till the soil. And next thing I know, I got sweat coming out of my briar, sweat pouring down. It's hard work. Yeah. And so, you know what? So after I pull all the weeds out, till the ground, do all the groundwork, I go to the hardware store. And for me, going to the hardware store, well, that's hard work too. Because when I get to the hardware store, I got to talk to everybody in the county. We got to catch up on the fishing stories and the hunting stories and what seed, what's growing, and this, that, and the other, how's Aunt Mary going, and how's the knee surgery going, and so you know what? You know, that's another whole day. Well, I finally get home, and then you know what? I get to plant the seeds, and you know, then I get my little boy out there, Samuel, he's 10 years old, and then we both get out there, and we got to fight for the seed bag, because he wants to plant the garden about as bad as I do. And so we spend another afternoon planting those seeds. Well, the next thing you know, guess what happens? Lord willing, those seeds begin to grow up. Next thing you know, well, we got to water the garden this time of the year when it gets real hot, and here again, Daniel and I, we pretty much have to fight over the water hose because, you know, he's 10 years old, and I believe every 10-year-old kid, there's something about a water hose. And I have to watch it, and that's hard work because I turn my back, and he'll be spraying the grass. And I'm like, Samuel, don't worry about the grass. Worry about the garden. And so it's a battle just between me and him of him spraying the garden. Well, you know what? So that's a lot of work. And then the next thing you know, everything is going good. And then those bugs come, the pestilence from the north and south, and the east and the west, they come. There's little white butterflies, they fly around, they get on there and lay their eggs. And what do you got to do? You got to pick those bugs off or spray the bugs. You know, you got to deal with all those chemicals, and you got to be real careful because you can't get any in your eyes or in your face, or, you know, you got to wash your hands, you know, and that's another issue to deal with. But guess what? If we keep the weeds out, that's another whole. Now that's really hard work, keeping those weeds out. Because if you don't get the weeds out, you can say goodbye to your garden, and that's hard work. So you got to till the ground. You got to pull the weeds out. You got to fertilize. You got to plant. You got to keep the bugs out. You know what? It's hard work. It's a good therapy for those who want to sweat and get the fresh air. But guess what? There's a harvest time. There is a harvest time. At the end of the season, when you go out there and you pick that tomato and you pick that cucumber, you dig those onions up and you dig those potatoes up, I tell you what, you talk about something good. A tomato sandwich with bacon and cheese. And
there you go.
And you know what, boy, you sit there and you eat that first sandwich, and it's like, you know what, all that work. All that work was worth it, all the sweat and all the pulling of the weeds and all the fighting off the mosquitoes snapping on you, but you have to snap them off your head and stuff. It is worth every ounce of the energy. You know what the Apostle Paul says here in the book of Galatians? He says, you know what? There's going to come a day for the believer. There's going to come a day for the believer, and we are going to reap a harvest.
Amen.
Yes. We are going to reap a harvest. All the trials that we've gone through, all the tribulations that we've gone through, all the hardships that we've gone through, all those times we've prayed, all those times we've knocked on doors, all those times we've made those phone calls, all those times we had to go to church or went to church when we didn't feel like going to church, everything that we've done. Boy,